So, the second section, Macbeth begins with the question, but wherefore could I not pronounce amen? And this rhetorical question shows that he is sticking to his concern about his inability to use religious language. And it showed his own confusion about his loss of morality. And partly also what it reveals is the distance between him and Lady Macbeth. The distance between them, because she doesn't respond to the original concern, and he asks the question again. So the repetition of this, I think, shows us this sense of distance between the two characters throughout this dialogue. He then says, I had most need of blessing, and amen stuck in my throat. And here, I think this continues on from Lady Macbeth's language about, the blood sort of blocking the passage for remorse in her blood. Here, language becomes this sort of physical object that he's choking on. And this metaphor of the word amen being almost like a physical object shows us that it's almost, he is aware that his desire for blessing is a curse because he's committed such a morally reprehensible action. And he's choking on his words because he knows that he is, at this moment in time, kind of distant from the religious order that he would be invoking by using this language. Then Lady Macbeth says, these deeds must not be thought after these ways, so it will make us mad. And this is a combination of an imperative and a declarative sentence. These are very confident, assertive sentence moods that are in many cases part of the language, but in terms of their simplicity, they are part of the structure of the piece. We will come back to that in the structure video, though. But she simply says we shouldn't be thinking about these deeds because it will make us mad. So there's again that sense of forceful possible repression, I think, involved in her language. And then Macbeth, again, persists in this sense of moral concern. Methought I heard a voice cry, sleep no more. Macbeth does murder sleep. So there's this bizarre use of personification here. And it's sleep itself as a concept that is personified, only for Macbeth to actually kill it, which is a sort of strange contradiction in terms. To personify something means to give it life, to animate a concept that's not usually animate. But then it's actually for him to kill it. And I think that shows us the tension in his behaviour anyway, of killing something that shouldn't really be killed and that is alive, in his case the king. But here I think what he's concerned about, he has destroyed peace itself. When he says he has murdered sleep, he means he has murdered what sleep represents in terms of its escape from reality, in terms of its restoring capacity, in terms of its relaxation. All of those things Macbeth has destroyed, and that shows us how deeply he feels the sense of guilt from carrying this action out, is that he feels like he's never going to be able to feel peaceful again. The innocent sleep, sleep that knits up the ravelled sleeve of care. So again, there's this personification of sleep, first of all, as innocent. And it's sleep that knits up the ravelled sleeve of care. So again, it's sleep that knits up the all of the holes in this metaphor. Sleep is something that fixes a kind of shabby piece of material. It fixes all the damaged parts from the day. It knits up the ravelled sleeve of care. And here, again, is coming this idea about the loss of tranquility. Sleep knits up and fixes all of the damage that's created by the day. It's the death of each day's life. And this here is antithetical, that we see sleep as the death of the life of each day, the activity of each day being the life, and its death being when we fall to sleep. But here there's a bizarre sort of antithesis here that shows the categories are being inverted, that sleep is positive because it's a death, because it's a death of life. And so here we've got the sense of the usual categories of life being positive, death being negative, being reversed here. They're inverted categories where death is seen as the positive escape from a traumatic life, and that shows us Macbeth's state of mind, how deeply traumatized he is by this, that he now sees his life as a kind of waking death, which is itself a sort of oxymoron. He says sore labour's bath. So sleep is, again, it's a ravelled sleeve. It's something that knits up the ravelled sleeve of care. It's the death of everyday's life. It's a warm bath provided to fix sore labour. And I think the fact that he's using so many different metaphors to describe sleep itself as a loss of innocence, of tranquility and care, shows us the extent of his paranoia, the extent of his mental disturbance, that he thinks all of these possible things have been removed from him, and it carries on. It's the balm of hurt minds. It's the sort of the mollifying agent. It's something that creates a sense of calmness and tranquility for hurt minds. It's great nature's second course. Again, it's the main part of the meal, the nourishing part of the meal. And again, it's nature that he invokes here. It's nature's second course. It's something that's part of natural order. It's the chief nourisher in life's feast. It's the main thing that keeps you alive and keeps you healthy. And that is what he has destroyed through the anxiety and guilt that he's given himself by carrying out such a reprehensible act. Lady Macbeth, though, here, what do you mean? She doesn't even understand him here. So there's this, through this question, it shows us the distance between the two characters, that she can't, for all of those metaphors, and we look at them, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different metaphors in Macbeth's lines, and has the simplicity of her response shows us the distance between these characters. And Macbeth then carries on. Still it cried, sleep no more, to all the house, and reported speech is again being used here by Macbeth, and we're still not really sure who it is that he imagines has been saying this. And so the repetition shows Macbeth's degeneration and his detachment from reality. This reported speech is a hallucination. Glamis hath murdered sleep, and therefore Cawdor shall sleep no more. Macbeth shall sleep no more. We've got this reported speech and these forceful repetitions that show us that Macbeth is in this extreme state of concern and paranoia, and is actually, again, at that point, in a position where he's hallucinating.